Now, I've also had a lot of you saying, will I be purchasing the iPhone 10?
iPhone 10 emulation activated.
So a lot of you are asking for my opinion on Apple's announcements at their recent keynote address. And it took me a couple of days to really process my thoughts properly about what was announced. Now, primarily in this video, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on the new iPhone 10 or iPhone X, as many people are going to be referring to it. But before I do that, let's talk a little bit about the other announcements, because there were other products announced at this particular event. And let's talk a little bit about the Apple Watch. Now, for me, the Apple Watch, of which I am wearing a Series 2 Apple Watch here, for a long time, I didn't particularly like or find a use case scenario for the Apple Watch. In fact, this is probably either my fourth or fifth Apple Watch. I returned quite a few because it was more of a distraction than a useful tool. I've got used to wearing it now. I do like the Series 2. The Series 3 improves on things with better performance. It also adds a new cellular version whereby you can actually make calls or take calls, interact with it without having to have your smartphone with you. There will be people that find that useful. I personally won't, because I always have my smartphone with me. So that would be something that I wouldn't even be interested in purchasing. Will I upgrade from the Series 2 to the Series 3? Probably not. Would I have upgraded from the original Apple Watch to the Series 3? Yes, I probably would. They also announced the new Apple TV, which is capable of broadcasting in 4K. That is a really good upgrade, but I already have an Apple TV which outputs at 1080p Full HD, and my 4K television upscales that to 4K very nicely. Yes, admittedly, it doesn't output in HDR, which the new version also does, but I have a lot of services built into my smart TV. In fact, a lot of people that have a new 4K TV will have these smart features built in, and they have a lot of services built in. So unless you purchase movies from Apple, for example, then you will have no need for it either. If you watch a lot of content from Amazon Prime, then more likely than not, your TV has got the Amazon app built in. It will be coming to Apple TV, but again, it negates the purchase because you already have that service built into your new TV. Moving on, let's talk about the iPhones. So very briefly, there is a new iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus. It's got a slightly revised design. My current daily driver is an iPhone 7 Plus. There are speed improvements, other improvements across the board, changes to the camera, or very slight changes to the camera, and yes, it will be a very, very nice smartphone. Will it be a worthy upgrade from an iPhone 7 or iPhone 7 Plus? Probably not. They could have really launched this version and called it the iPhone 7S or 7S Plus, because it's an incremental upgrade, but they put a slight twist on it by changing the design very slightly, and thus they've given it a new number. Now let's move on to talk about the iPhone 10 or iPhone X. Now, there are problems with this device. First of all, the naming of it. For a long, long time, as desktop and laptop users, we used Mac OS 10, which was called Mac OS X. Now, a lot of people refer to it as Mac OS X, and that was very frustrating because it was in fact Mac OS version 10. So why didn't they call the iPhone just iPhone 10 or just iPhone? Well, they went with iPhone X, and it is going to confuse a lot of people. It is the 10th anniversary of the iPhone, so it is in fact the iPhone 10th generation, for want of a better term. And again, it's got these nice speed improvements, a very new radical design, an AMOLED screen, which is absolutely superb. It's going to look fantastic. I mean, really, really awesome looking screen. But they made a big, big mistake. Now, a lot of manufacturers have been doing edge-to-edge screens, AMOLED, Super AMOLED, POLED, whatever you want to call it, and they have got edge-to-edge screens with just very small sort of bars, top and bottom. Some manufacturers manage to do pretty much bezel-less designs nowadays, and Apple still had to do an actual notch cut out in the top of the iPhone 10 for the various sensors and the front facing camera, of which there are a lot built into this little sort of chin or inverted chin in the top edge of the iPhone 10. And that troubles me a great deal. It looks absolutely ridiculous having this little chin cut out. And when you're watching back video content, it cuts into the side of the video. When you're looking at web pages, it cuts into the side of the web page. Pretty much any content you're looking at, be it in landscape or portrait orientation, this notch makes a black cutout that could be very distracting in the content you're looking at. Also, they've changed the gestures as well. There's no physical home button that they've kept on the iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus. So to unlock your phone, you just simply look at it. It does face recognition. And then you've got this bar at the bottom which you use for various gestures. And then you swipe down from the right-hand side for various things and swipe down from the top left-hand side for other things. And it's just completely different to the other products in their range. So you've got this disparity between the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus as we know it now, the new iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus, which people will buy, but they're going to be more focused on the iPhone 10 because that's the best version and the best iPhone that Apple produce. And yet you interact with them differently. I don't quite know Apple's thought pattern nowadays. What were they thinking when they thought that that was the correct way of doing things? Could they not have just built these sensors in behind the screen? Would that have not been a possibility? Could they not have just done a slim bar at the top? It would have looked a lot neater and would have stopped all of these people on the internet, including myself, complaining about how it looks. It's very, very poor design in my mind. Now, I've also had a lot of you saying, will I be purchasing the iPhone 10? Of course, I will try and get one in so that I can actually do a proper review of one on the Geekanoids channel and share my opinion with you. Will I be spending my money on one? No, I won't. There are lots of other options out there nowadays. I've been very, very interested in the Galaxy Note 8 from Samsung and even more interested in the LG V30, which looks like a fantastic smartphone. So if I was spending my own personal money on a new smartphone, for the first time, which I find very, very disappointing, it wouldn't be on the new iPhone. And I'm quite sad to say that because I use Apple products on a daily basis and I just feel very, very disappointed.